A car drives down a long, dark road lined with fog-shrouded trees. Inside, a young person laughs and talks with their friend as if it's just another fun night out. But as they drive, the mood becomes uneasy. On the side of the road ahead, they notice a woman standing in an old wedding dress and veil, backlit by the glow of the street lamps behind her, hiding her face. She doesn't appear to be moving. As they approach her, the driver slows the car and asks if she needs help. The girl declines and waves them off, disappearing back into the fog after they pass by. Then suddenly, the woman is in the back seat of the car. She had entered without opening the door. Sitting quietly, the driver glances at her in the rear-view mirror, but she seems motionless, and so he turns away to continue driving. However, he soon realizes that the air in the car has grown freezing cold, and as he looks back at the bride, something appears to be moving in her veil, as if she were breathing. The driver gasps and reaches for the handle, but his friend stops him. Then the bride leans forward slightly, her lips moving as if whispering to herself, and in a raspy voice she utters the word, "Promise." As she speaks, the old car radio in the front begins emitting a strange noise, then displaying a burst of static. The driver tries to change stations, but none come through. Then the ghostly bride moves again, this time turning toward them. The driver looks back at her in the mirror and sees that her veil appears to be moving on its own, even though her body remains perfectly still. He turns away again, unable to bear the sight, but his friend insists they need to talk to her. The driver turns back to reply, but the bride is gone. And as he does so, his phone rings. It shows unknown on the screen, and he answers it. No one is there, only silence before it hangs up. The driver shakes his head, dismissing it as a prank call. But as he does, a faint sound of church bells can be heard in the distance. Suddenly, the bride reappears in the back seat, holding a withered bouquet of dead flowers. The driver slams on the brakes and screeches to a halt. He wants to get out of the car, but his friend grabs him, pulling him back into his seat. The driver looks back in the mirror and sees the bride turn her head slowly toward him. Her eyes are wide open, staring directly into his soul. He screams and swerves the wheel, nearly causing a crash, as he desperately tries to shake off the haunting image of the bride. But looking back, he finds that she is no longer in the back seat. He continues driving until the road ahead seems to stretch endlessly through the fog bank. Suddenly, the car slows to a stop. The driver checks the dashboard and sees that the engine is still running, but the gear stick has somehow moved into park. Then the headlights flicker and go out, plunging the car into total darkness. As he struggles to turn them back on, he hears the sound of church bells growing louder. They seem to be coming from inside the car. Startled, he throws the gear stick into reverse and crashes into the back of the fog. A loud crack echoes around them. The driver frantically switches the car back into drive and steps on the gas, roaring forward as fast as he can. But no matter how fast he drives, the end of the road seems to remain just beyond the fog, taunting him, and the sound of the church bells continues to grow louder. And as they approach the source, the driver looks back and sees the bride standing in the back seat. She's still wearing the veil, which billows outward as if she were breathing heavily. Just as before, she appears still. Then, as he glances away, she vanishes. When he turns back, he finds that she is no longer in the car. The driver slams on the brakes. Something in the fog up ahead appears to be blocking the road. As he blows the horn, he notices a shape standing in the middle of the road. The driver slows the car and calls out, but there is no reply. As he gets closer, the figure becomes clearer. It is a woman in a wedding dress and veil. It is the bride. The driver stops the car and steps out, calling to her, but she doesn't respond. He walks toward her, and as he approaches, she turns her back to him, revealing the back of her white wedding dress and the long, flowing veil hanging down her arms. She is still not speaking, but the driver can hear the sound of church bells ringing loudly in the distance. Slowly, the bride turns her head, and the driver can see the movement in her veil. Once again, it appears to be breathing. Reaching out, he touches the veil, but it feels cold to the touch like ice. And as he pulls his hand away, he sees that it is covered in tiny white pebbles. Looking up, he can see that the moon is shining brightly in the sky, and the branches above them are bare, twisted and reaching like clawing fingers. The driver shivers. Taking a step back, he looks over his shoulder at the road and notices for the first time that it leads right to a large old cemetery, its wrought iron gates wide open. The bride suddenly takes a step forward and turns to face him, extending her arm toward the gates and the path leading into the cemetery. The driver hesitates, then follows her, walking slowly along the road, deeper into the darkness. As he walks, the sound of the church bells grows louder, seeming to echo all around them. He turns to look back, but the car has vanished and the road is empty. He is alone with the bride. After walking what feels like a long time, the bride stops and faces him. Slowly lifting her other arm, she points to a nearby tombstone. Here, it reads, Maria Clara died on her wedding day. As the driver reads the inscription, the bride takes a step closer. Still pointing at the stone, she lifts her veil, revealing her face. It is twisted and decayed, crying blood down her cheeks. The driver screams and stumbles backward, desperate to escape. He turns to run, but the bride grabs his shirt, pulling him back to face her. With a raspy, distorted voice, she repeats, "Promise." The driver struggles against her grip, but it is no use. She is far stronger than he is. And with a final burst of strength, she drags him toward the tombstone, closer to her. In the distance, the sound of church bells fades into the mist. Meanwhile, deep in the woods, surrounding the cemetery, an owl hoots mournfully. The driver looks around wildly, searching for an escape. But as he does, the bride disappears. He is alone once more. Then the ground beneath him begins to shake violently. He looks down and sees that the earth is splitting apart, opening up into a gaping hole. He falls to his knees, screaming in terror as it swallows him whole. Suddenly, the driver jolts awake, gasping for breath. He is sitting in the car. In the back seat is the bouquet of dead flowers. Then he remembers the bride. She is gone. The driver fumbles for his phone, calling out for her, but there is no answer. He looks around, realizing that he is alone. The fog has cleared, and the road stretches endlessly before them. He steps on the gas, eager to get away, but as he does, the bride appears in the driver's seat beside him. She's staring directly into the camera, her eyes wide and soulless. The screen cuts to black, and the sound of church bells ring out, distorted and faint. A low, muffled scream echoes in the distance. Finally, text appears on the screen. They say the veiled bride appears whenever a broken promise of love is made.